Hey everyone, it's a little late night Laura Malcolm here for Political Drain. Well, after the breaking Signalgate story this week, most people involved on the chat group fuck-up had to face the outrage that followed, but it seems that shady Vance has slipped back into the couch cushions. Or to be more exact, he's had a sudden opening in his calendar and joined his wife and son in Greenland after all.
U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance says he is joining his wife on a controversial trip to Greenland, which had already been slammed by island's leaders.
And you know, there was so much excitement around Usha's visit to Greenland this Friday that I decided that I didn't want her to have all that fun by herself, and so I'm going to join her.
Vance says he'll visit the U.S. Space Force in Greenland and look at security there. He's joining a growing list of U.S. delegates making trips to the territory this week, including National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Greenland's outgoing prime minister has called the visits, quote, highly aggressive, considering Donald Trump's remarks about taking over the territory.
I'd been low-key following the ridiculous robotic Stepford second lady's announcement that she'd be going there with one of her sons because they appreciate the culture. They did their homework on dog sledding and looked forward to attending the annual national championship, the Avanata Kimusarsua, which takes place this Sunday. The event organizers said they didn't invite them, but they could attend as spectators since the event is open to the public. The event is a grueling 26 kilometers with some of the world's toughest team sled drivers, or mushers as they're known, and the toughest dogs as well. The bond between man and dog is highlighted as they cross some of the world's most harsh terrain, and on top of that, the sleds must be made of the traditional Greenlandic material, made out of wood with no plastic or metal parts allowed. For the Inuit, this is not a sport. It's a celebration of more than 4,000 years of culture going back to the Thule people who predated the Inuit. We as a people and as a country, they said, will not shy away from showing and defending that our way of life, our culture, and our identity are not for sale. The decision of the administration to frame this as a friendly visit didn't fool anyone. In fact, it's backfired big time. And yet another example of the megalomoron's inability to read a room or to give a fuck if he does.
Greenland's going to be something that maybe is in our future.
Donald Trump has made annexation comments regarding the semi-autonomous territory and tied its importance to Arctic security as well as its natural resources.
This is friendliness, not provocation. We're dealing with a lot of people from Greenland that would like to see something happen with respect to their being properly protected and properly taken care of.
Earlier this year, Donald Trump Jr. visited the island, as the White House says these visits present an opportunity to build on partnerships that respects Greenland's self-determination. Greenland's outgoing prime minister is calling the visit a provocation and noted the caretaker leader would not meet with American officials.
Vi vil ikke være danskere. Vi vil ikke være amerikanere.
In January, he stated, "We don't want to be Danes, we don't want to be Americans, we want to be Greenlandic."
Spokesman for the White House National Security Council, Brian Hughes, said the visit aimed to build on partnerships that respect Greenland's self-determination and advance economic cooperation. This is a visit to learn about Greenland, its culture, history, and people. Attend a dog sled race the United States is proud to sponsor. Plain and simple, Hughes said. By sponsor, does he mean bribe? It sounds like mob talk to me. Cooperate or else. Also tailing along is National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, who was also present on the Signal group chat. They plan to take a jaunt to the north of the island where the Americans maintain Pituffik Space Base, formerly known as Thule Air Base. Partly organized by Jorgen Boasen, a bricklayer and an outspoken supporter of Trump who's been involved in many of the campaign's efforts, including Trump's visit in January, where they handed out $100 bills to homeless people to give the illusion of a crowd. Boason said in an interview that instead of just rejecting them, we should be cooperating with the Americans. We simply can't avoid the U.S. as a partner. Also claiming that the Danes want war all the time and are arrogant. Had it not been for the interference and resurrection of his desire to make Greenland a territory of the U.S., which he first discussed in 2019, it was rejected then too, as well as the relentless presence of his children and media influence and outright bribing and threatening them. The election could have gone another way, but as it turned out, everything Trump touches dies, and an overwhelming majority rejected the idea of joining America. In Canada as well, the threats won't cease after our April 28th federal election. In fact, it might be springtime for Schindler. The timing of all this is an obvious attempt to persuade or intimidate both countries, described by outgoing Prime Minister Egede as highly aggressive. On March 14th, the chairman of the 5 parties elected to Parliament released a joint statement that reads, "We cannot accept the repeated statements about annexation and control of Greenland. As party chairman, we find this behavior unacceptable towards friends and allies in a defense alliance." The Democrat Jens Frederick Nielsen stated, "There's not the slightest chance that I'll talk to Trump about Greenland becoming part of the U.S. Greenland will be Greenland." And while the new government's being formed, there's still 5 local elections to take place on April 1st. Well, the message of "Make America Go Away" has fallen on the deaf ears of Foulius Geezer. He's determined to push his American expansionism plans for plunder and profit, and to drain it of its resources while wiping out a people and its culture that's existed forever. Or they can go work in the mines and get sick from poor working conditions, or with no health care, or slave wages. With the G7 coming up in just a couple of months, will nasty Canada shut them out along with Russia? Putin's demanding access to global food and fertilizer markets and reintegration into international banking system, among other things. Donald just give him everything on pretext of everybody being mean to him.
And now today, Trump says, quote, "The United States will help restore Russia's access to the world market for agricultural and fertilizer exports. The United States will assist Russia in obtaining lower maritime insurance costs, and the United States will assist Russia in enhancing their access to ports and payment systems for such transactions." So that's so far what Trump has given up to Russia. But hey, I mean, it's negotiation, right? What did he get in exchange? Well, there's no ceasefire or end to the war in Ukraine. But yesterday, while those tough guy talks were underway in Saudi Arabia, Russia did happily shoot a bunch of missiles into Ukraine while the talks were actively underway. And Trump did get a painting.
Europe and Canada are already seeking to purchase their military equipment from other countries, including Japan and South Korea, since the U.S. has become an unreliable partner. This deal genius has already said that he's going to be selling toned-down equipment. And at the same time, stories of a built-in kill switch on fighter jets is circulating. Folks, the threat's real. These clowns might be driving the car for now, but the fuck-ups might either save us from or cause a major confrontation. Either way, in my opinion, he's angling for a war and willfully destroying the economy so nobody can prevent him from going ahead with this evil, destructive takeover. Join the resistance today. Get vetted at Political Drain.
Follow us on all these things you see here, and our link tree is in the description. Maybe even get some merch.